Today for our devotion, I'd like us to turn to 1 Samuel chapter 17. The story is familiar. David, the giant slayer. Who's this giant? Verse 4 tells us Goliath was a Philistine champion and came out of the Philistine ranks to challenge the armies of Israel. He was tall, 9 feet tall to be exact. He wore a bronze helmet, a bronze jacket that weighed 125 pounds. He had a leg armor and a javelin on his shoulder. His spear was heavy too, 15 pounds in weight. That was the Philistine champion, Goliath. And the story unfolds with Goliath coming for 40 days and challenging the army of Israel to come and send someone to fight with them. But what is interesting is the army of Israel is in hiding. The moment they hear Goliath's voice, they run and hide. But on the scene comes David, the giant slayer. Why is David there, you may ask? David is there to give lunch to his brothers. But when David hears this Philistine coming out and challenging the nation of Israel, challenging the armies of Israel for 40 days, morning and evening, something stirs up within David, and David walks out to take the giant down. I want to leave with you 3 things this morning, 3 realizations to be exact, that will help you and me to be giant slayers as well. Number 1, David realizes that he has to face the giant. No more hiding, no more running, no more looking for excuses. The giant is real and you've got to face him. Verse 32, David says to Saul, "Don't worry about this Philistine. I will go fight him." David had no business to be there in the first place. But when David found himself in battle, David says, "I will fight this giant." So don't run. Don't hide. Don't look for excuses. If you are facing a giant right now, look at the giant in his face and say, "I will fight." Number 2, realization number 2, David realizes who he is. When David walked up to Saul and said, "I will fight," Saul told him, "You're a boy. You don't have the ability." David says this in verse 37, "The Lord who rescued me from the bear and the lion can surely rescue me from this Philistine." And he walks down to fight Goliath. He knew who he was. Sometimes when you and I face a giant, we want to be somebody else. We want to do something else that people are doing. But today, we need to realize who you are. Realize who your giant is and face it. Realize who you are and walk in confidence. And finally, realize who God is. Verse 45, David replies to this Philistine. When Goliath taunts him and says, "Are you come to fight me?" David replied to Goliath as this, "You come to me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord." When God is on our side, you and I can be giant slayers. And David knew that. With God on his side, no giant is too big for him. I want to challenge you today. Whatever giants you face, know that God is with you. Know that God goes before you. And trust and put your confidence in God.